Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Daily Democracy Report. Today is April 23rd, 2025. It is Wednesday, and the stock market looks like it's doing pretty well last 2 days. We're going to talk about that and talk about why that may be. So yeah, without further ado, before I get to that though, let's do some housekeeping. So please like and subscribe if you do like the content, and please follow the links below. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/the Daily Democracy Report, or scan the QR code at the bottom left, and you can support the channel that way. And of course, you can visit us at Blue Sky and keep the conversation going there. So thanks a lot for that. And without further ado, today's show, I'm going to talk about Donald Trump and the state of the tariffs and the firing or lack of firing, or maybe he never was going to fire, the Fed Chairman Jerome Powell. So we're going to take a look at all that today. Got a lot of clips to play for you to bring home the point. So let me bring the first one up. The first one is Trump saying now, all of a sudden, that doesn't look like he ever had any intention of firing the Fed chair. Let's take a listen.
He has no intention of firing Fed Chair Jay Powell before his term for leading the central bank before it ends next year.
None whatsoever. Never did. The press runs away with things. No, I have no intention of firing him. I would like to see him be a little more active in terms of his idea to lower interest rates. This is a perfect time to lower interest rates. If he doesn't, is it the end? No, it's not. But it would be good timing. It could have taken place earlier. But no, I have no intention to fire him.
Okay, so there you have it. He has no intention of firing Jerome Powell. But which brings me to the second clip of today. I'm not sure where that is really coming from, but let's take a listen to a second clip where Trump says something a little different. This was last week.
And his trade war escalating. Tonight, President Trump is lashing out at the Federal Reserve chairman he once appointed, writing on social media that Jerome Powell's termination cannot come fast enough.
I don't think he's doing the job. He's too late, always too late, a little slow, and I'm not happy with him. I let him know it, and if I want him out, he'll be out of there real fast, believe me.
The rebuke coming after this warning from Powell Wednesday.
Tariffs are highly likely to generate at least a temporary rise in inflation.
The president now slamming him for not cutting interest rates to help the economy.
We have a Federal Reserve chairman that is playing politics. Somebody that I've never been very fond of, actually. But he's playing politics.
Powell says the Fed needs more clarity before making a move.
We're never going to be influenced by any political pressure. People can say whatever they want. That's fine.
Trump had previously.
All right, so just to bring the point home, that was last week. The tit for tat between the two. Somebody's playing politics here, and it's not Jerome Powell. It is definitely Donald Trump. He wants to dictate what the Fed chair does as far as interest rates go. He thinks that lowering interest rates is going to have a big effect. Fed chair disagrees and shouldn't be influenced by the president in any way, shape, or form. They're designed to be an independent entity, let's say, within the federal government. And the next clip kind of shows that a little bit, talking about the independence of the Fed, as well as the Department of Justice, et cetera, et cetera. There are certain entities or agencies within the federal government that should be independent in nature in how they operate, so as to not provide favor for any president or really anybody in power within the federal government. It's designed that way in for a reason, and that's the way our government is set up. So I wanted to bring in my favorite idiot, Scott Jennings here, who for some reason CNN just has him on. I think it's really for ratings than anything else, because the guy is kind of a moron. He just talks about the talking points of the Trump administration. I mean, anybody can go on there and talk bullshit and lies all day long. So Scott Jennings, I guess, is the guy. Somehow he's got to go home and look at himself in the mirror. And I guess maybe he can take it on as like an actor and be like, I'm just playing a role here. Who knows? But anyway, here's a clip. And this is Scott Jennings dancing around the question on whether the Fed chair is an independent agency or not. So, or an independent individual within the federal government. Let's play the clip.
Talking about the independence of the Fed. Do you agree or disagree that the Fed should be independent?
I think the president should be able to
that
render
actually
an opinion
is that is a
monetary
yes
policy.
Or no.
Whether he should be able to fire him is an
that
open
is
question.
A yes or no question.
But
should the Fed be independent of the whims of any president of the United States?
I think the president ought to be able to have
Why
opinions.
can't you say yes or no?
Previous presidents.
I think it's an open question where they should be able to fire the head of the Fed. Some Republican senators don't agree.
So Scott,
but I don't.
Right.
I just think the idea that the president should not have any opinion about monetary policy is crazy.
I'm going to give you a third try on this one. Should the Fed's decisions about how they operate, the interest rates, when they raise or lower them, should they be independent of the President of the United States?
Does independent mean they don't take his opinion into consideration?
Independent means no, they don't take his opinion into consideration.
I don't agree with that. I'm sorry. I think the president.
Okay.
I think the president should be able to render an opinion. I'm going to ask
Charlotte. What?
All right, so there you have it. So he's saying, oh yes, the president can have any opinion he wants, right? It doesn't really make a difference. I mean, it does kind of. The president shouldn't be out there spewing stuff like pressuring the Fed to lower interest rates or do anything else. He really shouldn't be doing that, but there's nothing to say he can't, right? So that's not the issue. The issue is the Fed should not be, Federal Reserve Chairman, right, should not be influenced by what the president says. The president can make a recommendation all he wants, but that recommendation has no bearing on the Fed whatsoever. And that's the way it should be. Scott Jennings says no, but then what's to stop the president from, enhancing his own pocket by having the Fed chair do his bidding and his own company's benefit? Which, in reality, he shouldn't even be making any money off of any of his own properties or any of his businesses as president of the United States. So he cannot influence others or get, financial gains by being the president and influenced in that way. So anyway, pretty interesting stuff there. But really, now he says he doesn't want to fire Jerome Powell. The markets were all upset because he did say he wanted to fire him. Now there's, the markets are stabilizing because now he's not gonna fire him, never intended to. It was all fake news that the press made up. Well, we know that's not true because he kind of said that, his termination can't come soon enough. So that's kind of bullshit what he's saying. But anyway, he reversed course because it was affecting the market and everything else. So why not? So it also seems like he's doing the same kind of thing with the tariff war here with China. And so here's this next clip I'm going to do is says he's not going to go and play hardball with China. He won't make a deal, and basically caving to China because he really has to. So let me play this next clip here.
Have negotiations started with China?
Are you going to play hardball with them? Are you going to mention COVID?
Well, I'm not going to say, no, I'm not going to mention COVID. I'm not going to say, oh, I'm going to play hardball with China. I'm going to play hardball with you, President Xi. No. We're going to be very nice. They're going to be very nice. And we'll see what happens. But ultimately, they have to make a deal because otherwise they're not going to be able to deal in the United States.
And see, here's the thing. I don't think China needs to make a deal at all. So this is kind of BS. China is probably going to do just fine without the United States and having basically like a trade embargo with the United States.
Want them involved, but they have to, and other countries have to make a deal. And if they don't make a deal, we'll set the deal because we're the ones that set the deal. Scott and Howard and myself and others, we're going to be setting the deal, and it'll be a fair deal for everybody. And it'll be
deal. I don't know how many times he says deal. We're going to set the deal. We make the deal. The United States has the deal. Something about the deal.
I think it's a process that's going to go pretty quickly. China was taking us for a ride, and just not going to have. It's not going to happen.
And they still are.
We're going to be very good to China. Have a great relationship with President Xi, but they would make billions and billions and billions of dollars a year, and they would build their military out of the United States and what they made. So that won't happen. But they're going to do very well, and I think they're going to be happy, and I think we're going to live together very happily and ideally work together. So I think it's going to work out very well.
So he basically really said nothing there other than, China is somehow using the United States to build their military. Okay, whatever. He doesn't make any sense. Everybody's going to be happy. President Xi's going to be happy. Everybody's going to be happy because Trump's going to cave. And the reason he just has to, because there's no other alternative. And we gained nothing. Not a thing from any of this. So it's pretty ridiculous. And here's one of the reasons why. So this is a clip from CNN. This gentleman that is going to be featured on here, his name is Scott Anderson, owner of 5 Star North. And he's talking about how the impacts of tariffs are already affecting his company. So this is Jake Tapper that's doing the interview here.
Next guest from Nashua, New Hampshire, Scott Anderson joins us now. His business, 5 Star North, designs and sells a variety of products, and many of them are manufactured in China. Scott, can you tell us more about your business and which products of yours are the most impacted right now?
Jake, thanks for having me on. Our business, my wife and I started this business 30 years ago. We've kept about 20 people employed for all that time. We've designed dozens of products in 7 different brands, everything from laptop security cables on the business side to liquid chalk markers on the consumer side. And yeah, we have almost all of that made in China. So all of them are being impacted. This is a drastic hit for us. We have $250,000 in inventory stuck in China right now. We can't ship it here. We don't have $400,000 to pay the tariffs that Trump wants on those right now. So we've had to freeze all shipments, all orders, all production. And sadly, we've had to let go of most of our people already this year. If these tariffs don't end tomorrow, we're out of business in months.
You've had to let go people? How many people have you had to let go?
Yeah, we had 12 people at the beginning of the year. We're down to 5 employees now. We had 24 6 years ago when the first tariffs went in.
Wow. And you also faced some disruptions during the COVID pandemic, of course, and during Trump's first term with the tariff policy then, as you note. Were you able to prepare in advance at all for this latest disruption?
Well, we started thinking about it over a year ago, trying to figure out options. Can we stock up like we were able to do in COVID to get through that? Can we get a year's worth of inventory? Can we bring manufacturing here now? Unfortunately, Trump's tariffs 6 years ago raised our tariff from 5% to 20%. That's cost us over $1 million in the last 6 years. That's all of our profit. And then some. We're a small business. We can keep people employed, but we don't make a ton of money. So
he's going to get to a point here where what he's saying here and how it impacts the business and all that stuff is that he can't compete basically with China on the prices. And if he takes those tariffs that have cost him over $1 million since Trump's first term, he can't raise the price of his product. So he's basically eating the cost of the tariff and not passing it on to consumers because he basically can. He's going to explain it here.
No, neither one of those was an option. And yes, we did look into, is there any government help out there? They've collected $260 billion in these Trump tariffs to bring manufacturing here. But all I could find for help was for microchips and electric cars. There was nothing available for all the small businesses that are funding these tariffs.
So you just lost $1 million, or did you try to pass that on to consumers? What did you do with that? I mean, 5% to 20% is a huge tariff increase.
Here's where he talks about
how did you try to make up that difference?
Yeah, unfortunately, we've been trying to pivot, but no, we've basically just lost that money. Now, unfortunately, there's a misconception that all businesses can pass tariffs on to the consumer. For millions of e-commerce businesses like us, we can't do that. I'll give you an example. We sell a lot on Amazon. 62% of what you buy on Amazon is from third-party sellers like us. Over half of those are based in China. Those companies don't have any consequences for lying about the customs value, so they're paying a small fraction of the tariffs that we pay. So we can't raise our prices because they don't have to. So, and there's over a million U.S. companies selling on Amazon right now that are all in the same boat. That's a pretty big collateral damage from this trade war.
Yeah, I'm going to stop it there. It's almost at the end anyway. But that's pretty telling, right? Like, he can't raise his prices because China doesn't have to raise prices, and they're in competition with each other. So if he does it, they don't do it, he's not going to sell anything on Amazon. So, what's the result of that? Well, you'd have to raise prices on everything. So we put the tariffs on them, they put the tariffs on us, we're equal tariffs either side. That was the idea, right? That they would pay the same amount of tariffs that we would pay. But then what would happen if that did occur, right? If everybody was on the up and up and paid whatever the tariffs were, everything would go up. The prices of everything would go up, and people basically wouldn't be able to afford things anymore that they can afford today. So it spirals out of control, in other words. So what's the end game? Not too sure. But it's just pretty crappy, right? So, I just wanted to show that video. I think it's, kind of nuts as far as what this trade war is doing, right? So the last thing I wanted to play for today is from the Lincoln Project. It's called "It's Not Working." I don't know if you guys have followed the Lincoln Project, but you should go to the Lincoln Project on YouTube, subscribe. There's a lot of great stuff on there. Some of these videos that they do, like commercial videos, you've probably seen on television, some of them you haven't. But here's one here. Like I said, it's called "It's Not Working" from the Lincoln Project. I want to close with this today.
Donald Trump said he had a plan. What happened? Stock market crashed. Trillions of dollars lost. Retirement accounts gutted. Chaos. So Donald Trump backed down. Inside traders on Wall Street made a fortune. But about the rest of us? Our retirement accounts are worth less than when Trump took office. Thousands of jobs down the drain. Small businesses devastated. There's no plan, no grand strategy. Just bad ideas that make the rich richer and hurt the rest of us. It's a clown show. His chief trade advisor was in prison last year. Mortgage rates are up. The price of eggs skyrocketing. Retirement funds down. Republicans control Washington. It's not working.
All right, so yeah, pretty great video, actually. Really hits home, really closes out the topic for today. But go and join the fight. Go to the Lincoln Project. You can go to www.lincolnproject.us, and you can find them on YouTube. Awesome. Also, so great video. Really does kind of bring the point home. So we have gained really nothing out of this whole charade that's been happening. Like they said on that video clip, the rich are getting richer. You know, they're making money off of this. We're not gaining anything. We're gaining higher prices. We're gaining small businesses that are months away from closing for good. You know, products sitting on docks in China and not being able to pay tariffs to get out of the country. It's just insane, and it needs to end. So hopefully it ends soon. Like I did say, though, the stock market does seem like it's doing better the last 2 days so far. Hopefully that continues and everybody's 401ks get back to where they should be. I'm not 100% confident. It's very volatile right now, so we'll see. Trump can change his mind day to day, but you can rest assured I'll be here tomorrow, noon Eastern time, and we're going to talk about it again. If it's in the news, if anything's changed, going to bring it to you. So thanks again for watching. Again, please like and subscribe if you like the content, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. So thanks again. Take care. Be good to each other, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.